for digital advertising strategies, 5 keys to success. So we really need to shift from channel focus to customer focus. And what do I mean by that? Well, Google puts out great data for us every year. In fact, they share data from Google searches and they share data from research they're doing across the board with their advertising and their customers. And what they see is that 65% of revenue from purchases are often made in more than one step. So the challenge with sticking with channel is if you're only tracking one channel or the last touch attribution as an example, which is really common, then you may be missing out on understanding all of the other things that are influencing purchases. So tracking that information, quantifying it, understanding it can be really tough. And 47% of revenue from purchases are often made in more than one day. I literally just the other day, I had a proposal, I had a prospect come back to me from 2 years ago that I did a proposal for. And so sometimes those sales cycles can be long, depending on what you're selling. And, you don't really know that you can track it all, maybe in a 30-day swath, like what conversion tracking gives you. And so what we know is we have to do more to understand our customers, how they're buying. And one of the ways we can do that is through buyer personas. So what are personas? They are basically a descriptive profile of buyers. So you can have multiple personas. You don't just need one. As an example, I have a friend who works for a company that produces HR type software. And so he might have one influencer or buyer that is the HR manager who has problems and challenges and wants them solved. On the other hand, he might also need to target the IT professional in that organization because the IT department is likely going to give approval or look at the product to see if it works with all their other products and make sure that it's secure and safe and that sort of thing. So they have two different pain points, but they're both part of that buying process. So you may have multiple personas even just for one product. Now, typically personas will contain demographics and psychographics. Demographics, of course, I think is pretty self-explanatory to most marketers. It's the facts about you. It's who you are. So as an example, your title, your company that you work for, where you live, your education. Those are all descriptive things about you as an individual. But there's also psychographics, and psychographics really can play into targeting the right customer depending on what you're trying to sell. So as an example, psychographics are about beliefs and belief systems. So for instance, if I am a political campaign and I want to target people of a certain political persuasion, psychographics would tell me what type of political persuasion they might be. Or perhaps you're trying to target people who are of a certain religion. Psychographics would typically be about their belief systems and their religions. So lots of different things, things that they like to eat, places they like to go, activities they enjoy. That's more of the psychographic side. So if you've never built personas, it can seem like daunting really to think about, well, how do I even begin to know all this information? The very first thing you want to do is pull a customer list because these people are already your customers. You just want to go get more people just like them. So pull the customer list and take a look at things like what are their titles? What are their ages? What are their industries? What are their company sizes? All those demographic features. And if you know any psychographic features, awesome. Not everyone knows that. So you can at least start typically with demographics because you have that in your customer list typically. But there's many more things you could be looking at. And honestly, this is the kind of thing you could even have an intern help you with. You could blind all the data, take the names out, and just have them look at this basic information to understand and help you compile what does my customer base really look like? What's it made up of? One other way you can really build personas fairly quickly is using these different tools. One of them is the Facebook Audience Insights tool, which is really cool because what you can do is upload all of that customer list, all of their email addresses into this tool, and you can get an idea of who these people are. And it can do it very quickly for you, which is really nice. Like, for instance, age would be one of the pieces you can get out of this particular demographics of this information. The other thing that you can do is use tools like LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. If you ever have a beer with me, I'll tell you all about how much I love LinkedIn. I could talk about it all day. I think it's a great tool. It doesn't have a tool like Facebook does, though. You can't upload everything and learn about the demographics necessarily of your audience list. But again, good intern summer type project. You can go through and look through at LinkedIn at your current customers. What types of groups are they in? What is their educational background? All sorts of things that you might not actually have captured already in your customer list. So something to keep in mind. Again, really, really great, simple approach to learning a little bit more. And you don't have to feel like you have to go necessarily too deep. But the purpose of these personas, we're going to use them later to help us figure out the platforms and the targeting mechanisms we want to use to get to that right customer.